Hello everybody, it's AJ back with the Mighty Glue Stick, and today I'm bringing you a classic D&D monster that goes all the way back to the first supplement, Greyhawk, 1975, the Doppelganger. Well, it was originally described as a creature with a mutable form able to shape itself into a double of any person it observes. They later sort of grew upon that to be any humanoid creature it can observe, and it went on from, let's see, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition from 1977 to 1988. A detailed description of the psychology of the Doppelganger in Dragon Magazine number 80 in December 1983. They appeared in Spelljammer, the Dungeons and Dragons Rules Cyclopedia, Classic Dungeons and Dragons game set, second edition from 1989 to 1999. They appeared in the Monstrous Compendium Volume 2 in 1989 and reprinted in Monstrous Manual 1993. The Monstrous Compendium Annual 2, 1995. They appear in Ravenloft campaign setting, module Hour of the Knife in 1994. The Dread Doppelganger was introduced in that, the appendix Creatures of Darkness. They appeared in third edition in 2000 and 2002. With the Greater Doppelganger appeared in the Monsters of Faerun in 2000, and the Ethereal Doppelganger was introduced in Monster Manual number 2 in 2002. Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 edition, 2003 to 2007, they appeared in the revised Monster Manual for this third edition in 2003. Their type was amended to Monstrous Humanoid, and if used as a player character race, their favourite class is Rogue. They appeared as a player character race in Races of Destiny in 2004, and the Changeling, offspring of Doppelgangers and humans, appears as a player character race in the Eberron campaign setting. Quite often when you see if you do image searches and things, you'll see Changeling pictures, not necessarily the true Doppelgangers. Fourth edition, of course, you see the Doppelganger Sneak and Doppelganger Assassin for the Monster Manual in 2008. And they deal extra damage. They have combat advantage, like a sneak attack ability. Yeah, so Doppelgangers have long, gangly limbs. They are quite strong and agile, have very pale, almost translucent, pale grey skin. They have eyes resembling an octopus, yellow slitted pupils that are almost invisible. They have no hair on any part of their body, and their facial features in their natural form appear to be very half-developed or very muted, almost like classic sort of grey aliens. They're very, very nondescript. And they are cunning and patient and very intelligent, and masters of their ability to blend in and mimic any group that they become a part of. They have the ability to detect the surface thoughts of other humanoid creatures, which helps them to mimic and target specific individuals. And quite often, if they're going for a quick disguise, they'll murder whoever they're imitating. But due to their ability to detect surface thoughts, they can do a more calculated and very careful imitation of somebody by keeping the victim alive and gleaning any information they want out of that victim by asking it questions and then gleaning true answers through its surface thoughts. So they can imitate mannerisms, they can learn all about family histories, friendships, accents, languages, secret passcodes, all of that sort of stuff. So the longer they keep that victim alive, the more complete their imitation of that person can be, discovering information that their target would know over time. Because of this ability to blend in, they are feared and regarded as natural spies and assassins, which of course they are. Now, of course, doppelganger mythology goes back a long way, very long in fact, and has its origin in all sorts of different cultures. But in D&D, the origin of the doppelgangers is questionable. I like to think that their origin goes right back to the origin of humanoid species themselves, and who would have the most interest in controlling humanoid species outside of a watery environment would be aboleths, or possibly mind flayers, but I like to think aboleths, because aboleths have this ability to use their slime to turn humanoid flesh into this translucent sort of stuff that needs to be immersed. And I thought, doppelgangers look kind of octopusy in their natural form, with those sort of octopus eyes and their muted features and their long gangly limbs and flexibility. And that ability of an octopus to mimic its environment, that chameleon-like ability, is fascinating and is very much in the range of the doppelganger. So, doppelganger society. First of all, let's go over the stats for the doppelganger in 5th edition. They're a medium monstrous shape changer. They're not actually listed as a humanoid, but they are. They have a neutral alignment, so they are pretty much wholly self-serving. They don't really sway to good or evil. They're not passionate about anything that they do, because that is dangerous. If you get too involved emotionally in something, if you feel a cause, or if you feel overly passionate one way or the other about things, you put yourself at risk. And they are very much about not putting themselves at risk. They're about hiding away, so they stay neutral, and they're dispassionate, cold, calculating. They have +6 at perception and a +3 to their insight skill. They're immune to being charmed. Again, they feel no passion, no love of anything. They have dark vision out to 60 feet. Passive perception is 11. They speak common, and I would imagine they can pick up other languages extremely quickly. Their intelligence is 11, wisdom 12, charisma is 14. They have a very high dexterity of 18. Constitution is 14 and strength is 11. So they are on average better than your average human, for sure. And certainly far more dexterous. So when you see Mystique fighting Wolverine, that's the level of dexterity that they have. They have control over all of their limbs. They are natural shape changes, and they can use an action to polymorph into a small or medium humanoid that it is seen, or back into its true form, and its statistics other than its size are exactly the same in each form that it takes. So they could look large and fat, but be incongruously dexterous. Any equipment it is wearing or carrying isn't transformed and reverts to its true form when it's killed. So they can't turn their skin into something like a backpack or a pouch or clothing and things like that. They need to actually take the clothing from a victim to more perfectly match them. So they will leave behind probably stripped off naked victims in their wake, and that would be a good indication that there's a doppelganger around. Or if they're going for a con artist type thing, they would acquire clothing that looked exactly like the victim before they actually do the act itself. So they are, on average, perfect spies and assassins, and very good at stealing everything that they need. They're fairly hedonistic in that they enjoy earthly pleasures. Once they feel safe, they enjoy that safety and revel in it and take advantage of whatever station they have, because they're used to it. They're not used to not getting what they want. They can live in hardship, but they don't need to. They can infiltrate humanoid societies easily. They always have. They see nothing wrong with it whatsoever. They don't see themselves as evil. They see themselves as basically as doppelgangers. That's what they do. They don't see anything wrong with it. So they are ambushes, and they have an advantage on attack rolls against any creature it has surprised. And of course, they're very good at surprising people. The surprise attack, any creature that it hits in an attack during the first round of combat takes an extra 10 damage from the attack. So if they have surprise on you, it's essentially a sneak attack. The attacks in their base form, they can make 2 melee attacks, and they list a slam attack, which is +6 to hit and 7 points of bludgeoning damage. However, they of course would use whatever weapons are available to them, and a doppelganger of sufficient age would clearly learn how to use magic or other sort of thing, because magic would be available to them in whatever form they take. I would also not be surprised if the doppelgangers have developed psychic abilities as well, and as of the writing of the monster manual, the psychic abilities aren't really written into the game. but they're just starting to be now. So I would certainly incorporate that if you wanted to give your doppelganger a bit more depth as a main bad guy. But certainly give them the ability to pick up class levels in spellcasting, and any sort of weapons that the victim would have that they're imitating, the doppelganger would take those weapons and probably be proficient in the use of most of them. It doesn't list how long doppelgangers live in the 5th edition book, but you could say that they live for at least a few hundred years, and possibly longer. I don't know. The origin of the doppelgangers goes back right to the beginning, but they keep no records of their kind, and obviously they're very hard to keep track of. So a historian trying to track the origin of the doppelgangers, or the dispersal, or the possible number of them, would have a very hard time of it indeed. So they have many different subspecies that are spread across all of creation, from demi-planes of dread, Ravenloft, all sorts of different elemental planes, the Feywild, Shadowfell, obviously. They get everywhere, including infernal dimensions. So yeah, they reproduce in a lazy sort of way, where they get other creatures to reproduce the young, to raise the young for them, and the young have the ability to basically flawlessly fit in with whatever family they put them with. There may be a few clues that this kid's not quite right, but otherwise it's not until they reach adolescence that they manifest their ability to shape change and their true form becomes apparent to them, by which time they've probably been contacted by other doppelgangers and they will know full well what they are. And also, it would be a good clue that they're not attached to their parents at all. They have no emotional attachment to these things, which are not even their species. They never did. They can imitate an emotional attachment, but otherwise they're completely and utterly self-serving. You could say that the doppelgangers have a society of their own, and they stick to their own, and they have code of practices about working together and basically never betraying each other. Because to reveal the existence of one doppelganger imperils all doppelgangers. So when one is revealed, others would do their very best to distance themselves or hide all evidence that this doppelganger ever existed. And I imagine a doppelganger would realize, once the jig is up and it's been captured and revealed for what it is, that under no circumstances would it reveal how many doppelgangers or their location or whereabouts. It would claim that they are nothing but a few weird mutant individuals, or possibly it's the only one, the last of its kind, etc. It would lie uh, to the point of being killed, rather than giving away information about others of its kind. So yeah, the ability to read the surface thoughts is constant. They can do it to any creature within 60 feet of it, and they do it magically. And the effect penetrates barriers much like X-ray vision, so they can do it through 3 feet of water or dirt, 2 feet of stone, a couple of inches of metal. It's only blocked by lead, maybe even gold. And while the target's in range, the doppelganger can continue reading its thoughts, as long as it's able to concentrate and the concentration isn't broken, similar to a spell-like effect. While reading the target's mind, the doppelganger has advantage on all wisdom, insight, and charisma, deception, and intimidation or persuasion checks against that target. So they are very capable of manipulating that individual, because they can hear the thoughts of the person before it utters a word. And that I leave up to you to really bring it to best effect. So doppelgangers are killers. They are natural assassins. They take whatever they need. They probably are capable of attaining great power, but they don't crave it. They don't want to be in charge of everyone, because leaders get assassinated. They don't want to be a hero or a person of note unless they can easily shed that disguise and disappear. Um, and while individual doppelgangers may manifest different desires or thoughts or theories on philosophies on how to live, the overriding nature of a doppelganger is to be able to leave everything behind in a moment's notice, and not be attached to anything or anyone. So yeah, great bad guys, and certainly something you can make use of at any time in your campaign.